Yeah. I think Pig and Vibe are pretty good coaches.
Yeah, I prefer Big to Vibe, but I also watch Vibe's coaching sometimes.
All right, let's see. So what build are you playing right now?
At the moment, I'm trying to play something I've seen with Vibe doing a lot, which is mainly Robo first,
Okay,
um, and then into Colossus.
like his bronze to GM stuff.
He did it also in Bronze to GM, and he had two coaching sessions recently on YouTube with some different nuances in the build. So for one,
Okay,
he starts the first Colossus before taking a third, and um, yeah, usually I try to take a third after I put down the Robo Bay, but that's not my problem. I do
okay.
so many mistakes. As you can see here, I totally forgot to start the first unit. So I'm late on the
Yep.
first unit, and
Yeah,
this
a little
is
bit.
something that should definitely not happen.
Did you go Cyber first or Nexus first? It might be easier if you
No,
go Cyber first.
Nexus first.
Okay.
This is I've got in the routine of doing next. So the thing is, I'm playing 9 matchups, so playing all 3 races, and I
Right.
try to
Yeah.
homogenize as much as possible.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
it's
Makes
closer
sense.
to the Circ build if I go Nexus first.
Yep.
So I can send
Okay.
down my 19th probe and then build the 20th
Okay.
probe as the second on gas. And in his build, he's actually doing Adept, Stalker, Sentry as the
Yep.
first 3 units. Then at the third pylon, the Robo and the second gate.
Okay. I think
And
I think people misunderstand the Sentry opening, like why the Korean pros are opening Sentry, because it's not actually better. Like, unless you're playing Maru or TY. So
yeah.
I think people really misunderstood the Sentry opening. So basically, if you go Robo first, you can just go OBS and walk it across, and literally no one outside of like top 16 GM or pro level is gonna see your OBS, right? They're not gonna scan it.
Okay.
It's really unlikely you're gonna see it. So there's no downside to going Observer first instead of Sentry. But if you play Maru's gonna kill that OBS every single game, right?
For sure.
So if you play Maru or TY, then they're gonna kill that OBS every time, and so it's much better to go Sentry, because then you're not gonna lose your Observer, which is why they're doing it. So you could totally get away without going Sentry if you want.
Yeah, usually I'd like to have a sentry just to stand around and scout for bases later. So Hallucinated Felix is maybe my only scout for his expansion pattern, and yeah, even to see if he has a third.
Sure, yeah. The ops can get that info too if you just like kind of sit it right here in between the bases. Can get
Yeah,
that info. But yeah, the you can do Sentry is not I mean, it's not too bad. It's just a little bit less efficient if you're playing noobs.
yeah.
Noobs are everybody
The
who's not
question is,
Mario.
I either get a sentry or no third unit before Warp Gate. So
Sentry or no. Yeah.
but
Okay,
yeah.
so you got your first obs. Oh, you're setting them up. Okay, you put one over here.
Yeah, I made a mistake in this game, I think, and
Here.
queued the third ops to where the second ops already was. So it didn't change the rally point between the second and the third
Oh yeah.
ops, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I've done that many times. Don't worry about that. Just maybe move it
Uh,
later. I think you can place these a little better. Like I think you should have one ob still over here if you can.
yeah, the first one?
Yeah. The first one should come across for sure. So you don't need to keep using your sentry all the time.
Okay.
And then you can put your other two. Actually, this expansion is going to be very difficult to defend with the way you've opened. So I wouldn't recommend this expansion at all.
Okay, this is my question. I
Yeah.
really love to take this expansion when I'm playing Terran.
Yep, exactly.
And
Terran is totally fine. But the problem with Protoss is that there's no way for you to jump back and forth between the main and the third. Right?
okay,
Unless you open blank. But even then it's like still kind of awkward. So what you want to do if you're playing Colossus is take this base for sure. The left one.
okay.
Like try
And to
not to
keep
take triangle bases.
Okay, always expand in a line. Against Darren or in both
Um,
matchups?
yeah,
Or
all the
would you
matchups.
take in all three matchups, sorry.
Yeah,
You would take
unless
the 6 o'clock in all three
right.
matchups. That's
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. The only time you would have to take the triangle base is if it's on a map where the other base is really awkward, extremely awkward.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the case in any of the maps right now. Like maybe Golden Wall kind of is a little bit
So
awkward.
so so playing Terran, I would go for the triangle for sure on this map.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Zerg, I would go for 6 o'clock for sure, and playing
Right.
Protoss, I don't know. So
Protoss
I go
6 o'clock as well.
usually if I don't know, I go the Terran way.
Gotcha. Yeah, Protoss and Zerg are more similar with their expansion patterns because they're trying
Okay.
to avoid the triangle setup for drops, whereas Terran doesn't really care, and it's a little more efficient to defend the triangle because you can put a cannon, or it's not a cannon, a tank up here,
Okay.
right? Or
And
you can
which
fly your CC a little faster to this base.
yeah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And which would you take as a fort? A Zerg I would take 7 o'clock. As
7 o'clock.
Protoss, I don't know, maybe the triangle.
Um, yeah, I would probably on this map take the triangle one as the fourth because this one's kind of far. And you should have blink by then, right? So it
Yeah.
should be easier once you get the blink upgrade to take that fourth. But normally I would take this one, to be honest. Normally I
Okay.
would take that
In all the
base if I
matchups,
could.
or is it
No, no,
dependent
in
on
like a
matchup?
different map. If I can continue expanding in a line, I would like to do that more.
Okay.
But this map has like a huge cavern in between the two bases, and it's pretty far, so it's a little awkward. Like the distance from here to here is kind of awkward. So that's why you would maybe take the middle one. But if this fourth base was closer on the left, then I would take that one on a different map.
And depending on your expansion pattern, you would choose your attack path, or would you as Protoss? I don't know how can I ping? Can I ping?
Yep, you should be able to ping. It's there's a little button beside the mini map, like a beacon.
Yeah, the top. Oh,
Yep, yeah, the top one.
sorry. How can I ping? Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Nice.
And you would take this attack path later on, or so
So
starting from your third, or which is the, or you would position your army here when you have three bases, I
yep,
think.
sounds good.
And if you take the fourth, you might walk somewhere here. I don't know.
Yeah, it would depend on which base your opponent took. So I mean, if they're playing Terran, they should take this base, but they might not, right? They might take the other one. And so you want to attack whichever third base they take, and whichever one's the orbital command. Like
Okay.
you don't want to attack
So
the fourth usually because it's planetary.
Yeah.
So you want to attack the third with the orbital. So yeah, your route here is totally fine. And if they took the other third, then of course you would go this way instead.
Okay, but you avoid the S shape later on this map. This is just a Reaper path. So now can we somehow remove all the
Yep.
blinking?
Yeah. Just fast forward a bit.
Okay.
Okay. Avoid the what?
Okay, so the standard Reaper path I think is somewhere in this S shape.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't go the S shape when we go with army, or wouldn't we? Just in the beginning.
In the, I mean, I don't think it matters too much to avoid that. Are you talking about like with your Reaper, like how you would go across, or to avoid the
No,
Reaper?
no, not to avoid the Reaper, but usually the first unit that crosses the map uses the S shape. So it
Sure.
might be a probe or it might be a Reaper or whatever.
Right.
But later on with a whole army.
Oh yeah. We would avoid. Well, we don't have to avoid that, but if you got to be careful that your army doesn't split up. Is the problem.
Yeah.
So
this is.
if
I feel this is a problem, at least for me, with the new salad speed. My salads are running in front, and I'm not used to it yet.
yeah, you just it's not a problem
So
if
I'm
you go
always
any path
behind
here.
my salads with my army.
Yeah.
Quite a
I mean, basically what you want to do is like if your zealots are they get up here and they meet this army, say, then you would just back up and regroup
Yeah, sure.
first before you go. So you don't need to, it's not a big problem that they go ahead. You just need to pull back and regroup once they get too far ahead. And hopefully you're watching your army so it doesn't, 20 zealots don't die before you notice. but yeah, just pull them back. No problem there.
You will notice in this game I'm quite surprised by his push because I scouted his starboard in the top with a tech lab on it, so I was expecting some.
Sure, yeah, like Raven.
They play a lot of battle cruisers or Banshee stuff, but neither happened. He used it to build a medivac, so maybe it was a misclick. I don't know.
Oh, I think maybe he's trying to follow some build where you do this, like Euthermal's build. I mean, he's not very close to the Euthermal build, but it's kind of similar.
Yeah, might be. But here he sieged on me, and I was already in kind of trouble. I think I come out of this fight even ahead.
You should be dead, for sure.
I should be dead, definitely.
Yeah.
I lose my robo, I lose my warp gate, and then I'm kind of surprised to actually survive. So he overstimmed or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So.
Yeah, let's see. Like, you don't have any Colossus. See, I think the main problem here is like you're getting too much stuff. Way too much stuff. You don't really need a lot of this tech that you're getting, like the double forge. You don't even need that, because you have the Colossus, which should be your main, the main thing you're trying to go for, right? Like if you want to play double forge, then that's like a totally different style. But here you're kind of going for both styles at the same time. So
yeah,
that's
I think
why
this is
he has so much.
just a wipe thing.
A what?
If wipe.
Vibe.
If Wipe tries to explain something about Platinum League, he always goes for a lot of upgrades.
Yeah,
and
in
this time it's the long term strategy. So usually totally lack long term strategies, and in this case it's go to Colossus, go to 5 Colossus, take up to 3/3, and then push.
Right.
So this is.
I mean, I don't think it's bad to get 2 forges and get the upgrades, but you just don't want to do it so quickly is all.
Yeah, I think he also does it later, so about 7 minutes or something, and then rush the upgrades. So
right, yeah, that sounds better.
Possible.
Yeah, so we can look at how to change this maybe. I mean, you can see your opponent doesn't have any upgrades either, so it wouldn't be a huge deal if.
Yeah, but this for example is something I don't notice during the game. This is something I see in the replay.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't need to really notice in the game.
Usually the best thing I can see is the number of eBays. But I even think in this game I did not know. No, I did not saw his eBays at all.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you don't really need to look for that. Like I wouldn't look for that as much as you would think, even at my level. I won't really be checking their upgrades too much. I mean, maybe before a fight I might, if I'm not sure if I want to take it, but usually I'll have a pretty good idea of what they're doing just based on how they opened, and so I'll have a rough idea of their upgrades without looking. So I won't do that too much. But what I will do is have just a really solid build that will make sure I don't die to these timing attacks. So this is basically just your build needs to be less greedy. So whenever you play Colossus, Colossus are the power of the build. It's all about the Colossus. And you have Colossus, and your opponent maybe gets the upgrade lead, but that's okay because you have Colossus, right? Those are your power unit. And then because you have Colossus, you're very immobile, right? It's very hard for you to defend drops. So you might see people go for forges quickly, but if you do that, it's very easy for good Terrans to pick you apart. And so what you want to be doing is going for the blink very quickly. Not because you really want the blink, but just because if you don't, you can't defend anything.
Yeah.
So with this build, you get the Colossus, and that's your play. And then you get the blink to defend the Colossus or defend your bases. And then you get really late upgrades. And that's just kind of the sacrifice you make to get really fast Colossus.
Twilight and 1 forge, or no forge at all.
Yeah, you can get 1 forge, or you can go later double forge if you want. Either way, should be good.
Okay.
But those are not the priority at all. The priority is the Colossus, for sure.
Okay.
And I think this is also why Terrans struggle against Colossus, is because they're trying to attack the front, and that's not what Colossus is weak against, right? It's the drops.
Yeah.
The drops are what Colossus struggles against. So as Protoss, you want to get to the tech quickly that stops that, and as Terran, you want to be dropping like crazy if you can, picking them apart.
Okay. Yeah,
So I can show you.
Terran against Colossus, I used to go Vikings, but I
Yep.
fail quite hard with Vikings. So now
Yeah.
I don't attack at all and take into Liberators, which leads to quite good results, at least in Platinum, but it should not.
No, you can play out a long game as well. Like, if they're playing Colossus and you're playing just a normal bio opening, then you're gonna have the upgrade lead, right? And you're maybe gonna have a little bit of an expansion lead as well. And so it's not like you're behind; you just have different advantages. And so it eventually gets into more of an even game, right?
And
Protoss has to
against
start investing.
Colossus, I don't like either. We don't mind no tanks against Colossus, so I choose Liberator as my siege unit then.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think maybe when people get
And
really good micro, it won't work as well, but it's totally viable.
And nobody goes Tempest in my league, so
No.
it's quite good to go Liberators when there are no Tempest against you.
Yep. I think Tempest are actually not even good, even if they can get them,
Okay.
because they cost too much supply. So if
Okay.
if
how,
you
how
find
do
that
you counter? Liberator?
you basically the Protoss will just have a really small army. Like if they have 5-6 Liberators, that's like 30-40 supply.
Okay.
So you just have like a huge army and you can just jump on top of them and they can't really defend that. It's only if you kind of sit there and you let them pick off your Liberators that they feel really good. But if you just jump on them, then the Protoss army is too weak.
So for the first few minutes of the build, you recommend go for a robo, go for a second gate.
This one?
Then
Let me...
we take the robo and the second gate at the third pylon, which is fine, I guess. Or
let me show you how I would play through this. You can see my game, or I can show you my screen.
I saw the countdown.
You just have to press return to game, I think. Should be good. Can you see?
So, yeah, I see you rolling off now.
Perfect. Yeah, I can show you the wall at the same time. Oh, actually...
Yeah, that's fine. I always like as a Terran to siege at these walls. so I don't do them as Protoss, but it's maybe a lower league scene.
That is a small downside for sure, but you can get around that if you're playing Protoss. You just got to make sure that you have enough army to go push them away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super defendable. There's no huge risk with this opening, or with this wall, I mean. It's totally fine.
But just my intuition tells me that if I have this wall, I want to take the triangle third, because then the wall is kind of protected later on.
Ah, I see. Yeah, and I mean, I probably could take the triangle third with my opening that I usually use, which is Blink Stalker Double Forge. But this opening particularly is weak with the triangle base. Or if you were playing Phoenix, you could easily take the triangle base if you really wanted to.
Yeah, maybe. I never built the Phoenix actually. Just maybe one to hunt some overlords, but never even in custom games or against the eye. It's
not
one
that
of my
strong,
dark
to be
spots.
honest. It used to be a lot better.
Okay.
Before they buffed the Widow Mines. Okay, so I'll show you how I would...
second pylon on the low ground.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, if you don't do that, then you can't defend any all-ins. Like if they go any sort of proxy, you'll be in a lot of trouble without that pylon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me show you how I would adapt with the without the sentry, because I think it's really weak.
Okay.
And you can change it if you want, or don't change it. But I think this opening is much better, unless you're playing Maro. But nobody's playing Maro, so.
Yeah, sure. even through the series against how was he called? Dream?
Dream.
I don't know. The games from yesterday at the GSL were
I
quite
didn't see it. No.
interesting.
Was it good?
Okay. It's funny. He cannon rushed Maru.
Zest Cannon Rush Maru?
No, not Zest. I did not know him. It's his first GSL. I don't
Prince.
remember his name. Maybe
Prince?
how? Prince. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
He
yeah.
cannon rushed and
he's
then he
wild.
salad all into him in the second game. Charge lot all in.
I didn't see his games versus Maru, but I watched his games against Scarlet or whoever
Okay,
else
did
was
not
there.
see
They're pretty
them.
wild. So this is how I would open with Colossus.
Okay,
if I was
two
you.
stalkers, you would wall up with two
Yeah.
gateways, so we go to three
Right.
gateways.
Exactly.
I used to do exactly this build and now go for a war prism. It was a kind of parting
Oh,
build
I see.
and
Yeah,
attack with 8 stalkers.
Yep. Yeah, you could do that. This isn't that though. This is just straight into Colossus.
Yeah,
But it's kinda similar.
I got a lot of wins with it, but usually I don't like to cheese and just play
Sure,
a
yeah.
solid game. But you get a third stalker. Okay,
Yep, this is basically the safest build you could possibly do.
okay.
But it's also just you get more money than the build you were doing. Like you
Yeah,
get
and
a little more gas for the faster Colossus, and there's no downside to scouting. Oops.
okay.
I'm playing Terran myself lately. Almost made the triangle base. Gets obs out. Now you got to be careful here, right here, because if they are doing a sort of drop, actually, you might want to just not do it the way I did. Actually, you might want to go 3 more stalker first before you get the third base. Is the best way to play it, like the safest way. But I like to be greedy, so what I would do is check what they're doing and then warp in more stalker if I needed them. But you might want to just warp in 6 stalker first.
Okay, 3 in the main and 3
Yep.
on the gate.
Yeah, so this combo basically defends you against Widow Mines or like Banshees, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we can keep teching up here. Get our Colossus. And then we need to get the blink quickly though. That's the next thing that's really important. Honestly, usually I go Twilight and then ranged, but either way is pretty okay.
Okay, Twilight before range. Okay.
It's kind of small. Honestly, it won't matter in your games. It's more of a small, subtle GM thing. And then, but you notice here that I'm just massing probes for the most part. Maybe we'll pause at this place, 52-ish, 50.
Okay.
And we're still just making Colossus. So, I mean, if that last guy pushed you here,
But
you would actually
we're
have...
still on 6 stalkers or
Yep,
9?
just 6.
Okay.
And then from here, you want to add a few more gates, usually. So we
But
can go
what's
up to
the
3.
reason for the third gate so early when you don't actually need
For
it?
3?
The third gate.
If they do any sort of 1-1-1 push, this is much safer.
Okay.
And
Just to be
2 gates
faster
is
with your
very
walking
greedy.
stone.
2 gates is something you should do if you're Zest or like a pro player, because
Okay.
the margins you get from that are really small. But if you're really good, like really perfect, you can maybe defend some pushes. But yeah, this is significantly safer against something like Euthermal's build. Did you look up that guide? Like his 1-1-1 attack?
No, I will look it up later
Oh,
to
you know,
remind
okay.
me. Is it in his Terran expert series? I saw some.
I think so.
of them.
It's like basically a tank marine build plus
Okay.
2 sorts of air attacks. Like I think he does a Liberator plus Mind Drop, but any sort of like really early attack plus some airdrops is really hard to defend with 2 gates. Really hard.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw Hero Marine do this build.
Yeah, he probably killed whoever was doing 2 gates too, because
Yeah.
it's really, really sharp. I mean, I've seen
Okay.
Zest lose to the build with 3 gate or 4 gate Blink Stalkers, so it's really hard to hold. I would not recommend 2 gates for anyone learning.
Okay, so I go 3 gates.
Yeah, 3 gates. Twilight, we have no forges, right? Which is really
Yeah.
important. And we have just 6 Stalker for now.
6 stalkers, 3 observers. 1 at his base, 2 at the
Right.
edges.
Just kind of defending the airspace.
Okay. For
And before
benches
I,
and widow mines.
yeah, before I go further, I just want to point out that if they are doing some sort of early marine tank attack, like that U-thermal build, then you don't want to even tech into Colossus. You just want to make
you
like
go
immortals and
3
units.
shield batteries.
Yeah, you can make a shield battery if you want, but like immortals and like zealot stalker should be good. You should have a lot. You should crush that build if you see it coming. But so this would be more if they're doing a macro build.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Okay.
And now I need some kind of plan to transition out of this.
So
I get blink, and then I go up to 8 gates, maybe.
So right here, we need to have our plan be defend the 3 racks push. So everything we're setting up for right now is in case they do the 3 racks push.
Yeah.
Which is basically what that guy did. So you want to set up for that, and then you only transition if they get a 3rd base. Like there's a hard stop here that you're not allowed to go past unless you see a 3rd. Right?
Okay, I wait for the 3rd. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple more things actually, but we're getting close to that. So for one, you want to stop at like 50 workers. Don't go past that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Because we have, like, if Terran's on 2 base, they have like 44 roughly, right? So we don't need more than 52. We have Colossus, right?
Okay.
We don't need to get more workers. We just need to not die. Okay.
Yeah.
So we stop here. And we can add a forge, I guess, if you want. And then we can get blink. And we can get 3 more gates. I know I'm not making units. This is good. This is called powering. I'm not sure if they did guides on that. And then from here, you need to make lots. Why can't I pause? What?
Okay.
I don't know why it won't let me pause. That's very weird. But maybe I can do it here. Oh, I'm out of pauses. Oh well. Okay, so from here we would just make lots of units if they're doing that sort of push. If they're doing that sort of 3 racks attack, we would make units like this, and we would be scouting with the observer to check if they transition. Right? So if they ever transition, you can keep making more probes in tech if you want. But if they are committed to that attack, you don't do anything else other than make units.
Okay.
Cool. So I mean, if you're playing that last guy, your army would look like this. And I don't think he hit you yet. We still have time before that guy hits you. So you're going to absolutely destroy that guy. That guy's going to get murdered. And yeah, our upgrades are a little slower than your game, but that's totally fine, right?
Yeah.
And so you keep playing this type of comp until he gets a 3rd, and then you transition. I wish I could pause. Let me just not play so I can talk you through it.
One small question. You go for attack upgrades, which I'm kind of surprised.
Yep. Yeah, so whenever you play Colossus, attack upgrades are better.
Okay.
If you play Double Forge, then armor is important. Or if you play like Charizard Archon, Charizard Stalker, then armor is more important. But with Colossus, attack is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think what I had in mind was go for attack if it's mech, and go for armor if it's bio.
1 sec. Oh, drank some coffee wrong. That sounds good though. Like if you're playing against mech, you definitely want attack, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. But if you're, and maybe just 1 forge against mech is a little better. But against bio, it just depends if you make Colossus or not. That's basically the rule. I mean, you can still get armor with this. Like you could go +1 attack and then +1 armor is pretty okay, and then go 2/2. Could be fine. But yeah, the first attack upgrade is pretty helpful. Okay, and then I mean this is your setup for defending. So then once you defend, or once you see that they're transitioning, then you can go past this. So I mean, I'm not sure how you want to play specifically, but you can play pretty gateway heavy and you can attack quite a bit, or you can play pretty tech heavy. Like, do you have a preference?
Usually, what I usually do is go up to 8 gateways, maybe at a starboard.
A Stargate.
Stargate. Yeah, just for later transitions.
Don't get that. don't transition. Just play
Okay.
Stalker, Colossus, Disruptor. Maybe Storm if you can handle that, but that's pretty hard.
Yeah, disruptors are quite hard to handle for me actually. I
Uh,
always kill my own army somehow.
definitely try to add in the disruptors. But
Okay.
I mean, you can mostly play Colossus and attack if you want. You just have to be a bit more aggressive. So you don't have to go into disruptor, but they are really good. Like, you probably should get them because your
I
opponents
go to
probably can't micro either.
disruptors if it's cyclones. So
It's
if I see a
cyclones,
lot
yeah.
of cyclones, I go for disruptors.
Yep, that's good. Disruptors are also the counter to Ghost, though. So
Okay.
if you don't get Disruptor, then you can't fight the maxed out Ghost Bio army. They'll wreck you. So
Yeah.
you need the Disruptor eventually.
Okay, that's maybe the thing that nobody plays Ghost in my league. So if
Yeah.
they do, they just do it for nukes.
Yeah, if they don't play a lot of Ghosts, then you should be fine without them. But I would recommend you play a very like mineral heavy style. Maybe I can restart this replay actually if you watch my screen on Discord, and I can give you a better idea.
Sorry, I have to tap. Oh.
Yeah, just because I'll have to take command to show you.
Yeah, I'm on one screen, but I'm on your screen in Discord now.
Okay, cool. So let me fast forward to like here. So let's just say that they grab a third base. Okay?
Yeah,
So remember that if they don't get a third base, you just stop at
stay
50.
on 50.
Just mass units. Units until you win. Okay?
Okay.
Never tech pass. But if they do get a third base, then you play like I'm going to play right now. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we're here, something we see a third base. Okay, that means we can get workers. And we don't really need as many units, right?
Yeah.
Now we're still going to make some stalkers. I think a big mistake people make is trying to get a lot of zealots early, and you don't actually want that because it makes your army less mobile, and it's really hard to defend drops if you do that. And so it does make your army better in a straight up fight, but it's not better to defend drops, which is our only concern really at this point.
Short question, other
Sure.
topic. How do you hotkey this? Do you hotkey your 6 stalkers in the main separately, or are they
Yep.
just sitting there?
Yeah, I have one hotkey for my main army, and I have one hotkey for my stalker in the main army. So just 2 hotkeys.
Okay. So the stalker. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Good.
I'll try to
Yep.
do the same.
Yeah.
To keep the stalkers. Usually, what happens to me is I forgot to hotkey one warp in or something, then I hotkey F2, and then there are no more stalkers in my main.
Yeah, you honestly, as Protoss, you should just take off the all army hotkey. I guess you're playing all races, so it's a bit different, but yeah, you
I
don't really
actually
need it.
have no hotkey for it. So I play the core
Just
and
click on
there's
it.
no F2 on the core, but I click on it manually.
Yeah, you should definitely try to break that habit because it's pretty harmful for Protoss specifically.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But it's even my hotkeying is good with Zerg, I think, because I can hotkey X. It's really
Yep.
terrible with Darren,
Yeah.
and Protoss is somewhat in between.
I think Terrans and Zergs can sometimes use the all army hotkey is okay, but Protoss definitely doesn't want to use it. So from here, you might want to build zealots. You might feel like you want to build zealots, but don't. Try not to. Okay? Because we want to set up our 4 base, and we want to be really good against drops. And we don't really need units to be good against main armies because we have Colossus, right? So we already have a really good counter to that. So instead, we can just take like a pretty fast base here on 6 gates. I'm only on 6.
Okay.
And I'm basically just adding lots of stalkers. And so what this allows us to do is get that 4th up, which is really important because we're about to run out of minerals on our main.
Yeah.
So you're just staying on this Docker Colossus army, and then right about here is when you can start to transition, if you want to, into lots of Charge.Archon. If you want to play aggressive without Disruptor, that's a pretty good comp. So to do that, you get the Templar Archives, you get a lot of gates, like maybe 6 gates eventually. Question?
Up to 12 gates, or what was the target?
Yeah, you can go even higher than 12 if you want to play aggressive. You could go 14, maybe even 16 in some cases if you want to like really get a lot of like bases before you attack. You can go pretty high. But yeah, somewhere between 14 and 16 should be pretty good. So quite a few. And then we're transitioning into the Charge.Archon here. That's why we're getting gates, to be clear. You don't need more gates if you make Stalker.
Yeah, and Charge.Archon Immortal then, or do you stay on Colossus?
You can add maybe one more Colossus if you want, but more than 4 is kind of iffy. You probably don't want to go past 4. In fact,
but
most
do you
Protoss
go
say
Immortals then, or you don't get anything out of the room?
You can go for like a War Prism if you want. You could add Immortals if you want as well. Or you could just leave it. You don't really need to make anything from the Robo. Especially if you want to attack. If you want to attack really quickly, then it's better not to make too many Immortals, because that cuts into your gate count. And Immortals aren't really as good at being aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very good, but they take a while to build, and so usually if you want to make lots of Immortals, you're playing a more defensive style.
Okay, so what is the timing I'm going for? Or when do I want to attack?
When you want to attack? Just maybe when you max out would be good.
Okay.
I can play through that. So we have, what do we have? 10 gates now. Let's maybe add a couple more. Try not to add cannons if you can.
I usually don't, or I go for cannons when I move out or something. But
yeah, that's not too bad. I think like 1 cannon maybe around here is not too bad if you want, like something like this, just to delay them from killing your workers.
Just to make dropping harder? Or,
yeah, basically.
Or for detection?
Yeah, detection as well, but mainly just to kind of allow you a couple seconds to not let your workers all die. Is the main reason. Because if you drop cannons, they auto attack the cannons and then they don't kill your workers.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the cannon, then you're gonna jump over there and then already 7 workers are dead. So then that kind of sucks.
It's a trick I saw. I think it was Neuro doing with Zerg to get his anti-air turrets in front just to absorb damage.
Anti-air. Oh yeah.
His spores. Sorry, I was missing the word.
Gotcha.
His spore crawlers.
Oh, okay.
Just to absorb. To let them absorb some damage.
Yeah, I know, it makes sense.
With the cannons.
So you can hit a timing like this if you want. If you want to play pretty aggressive. Honestly, they shouldn't be able to hold this ever at your level. It's extremely hard to hold an attack like this because you have so much economy. It's really hard for them to attack you too because we haven't really teched up too much, and so you just have a lot more stuff than normal to defend their attacks. So this should be a fairly easy style to play.
Okay, so what's back home at the moment? Are stocks back home, or did we F2 to attack, or just?
Oh, I bring them into the army. I didn't F2, no. Okay. But you can.
No, not. Yeah, of course you didn't F2, but we take everything. We don't leave a stock spot at home or something.
It definitely depends on the game. Like, you might want to leave units back home if you know there's a drop over there. But we also have a ton of gates, and we have a ton of vision on the map. Like, if you look at my observers here, I have lots of vision over there. You could easily put a bunch of pylons on the left side as well if you have time. And so it should be difficult for you to get dropped without you knowing if you have good vision, which is something if you do get caught off guard, you should maybe put some focus into that, getting good vision. because this build is not as complicated as some other builds. So you should have more time to get vision and stuff. And if they do drop you, you have how many? 14 gates to warp in units.
Yeah.
So unless it's like a 4 medevac drop, you should be pretty good.
It's maybe the 200 supply block that sometimes stops
Oh,
me from
sure.
walking in defensive units.
Yeah, that could be annoying. I mean, you also have the recall, so there are some options.
Yeah, sure.
And the visions, you can come back. But yeah, that can definitely be annoying sometimes, for sure.
Okay, one thing I'm never sure of is when I attack like this is how to position my prison. Do I leave it somehow in the back to get reinforcements, or do I try to drop with it or warp in at a different attacking location?
If you're gonna do a drop, you probably want 2 war prisms.
No, not drop, but just to warp in the main or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would consider that a drop.
That's a second prism. Okay, so one prism stays behind the army.
Right, something
for
like this.
reinforcement.
Like if you're attacking this base, you might want it like there.
Yeah, just keep it safe.
Yep. Yeah, and then do your warp ins, bring them over, something like
And,
this.
and
Just so it's
during
not
the
annoying.
fight, we just warp in zealots, or do we warp in anything else? Maybe stalkers, but
Usually
no archons
zealots.
or something.
Yeah, usually zealots.
Yeah.
Not usually archons. You
And
would
if I
warp
need
in stalkers
anti-air.
if you're playing libs, right? Or if they had a
Yeah.
lot of Vikings maybe, and you wanted to kill those, then you could maybe go stalker. But yeah, usually zealots. Usually zealots is good.
Okay.
Any more questions?
So, yeah, some more. What about DTs? Just again, general, not cheese DTs, but do you add a dark shrine
Sure, yeah.
somewhere? Just
Yeah, definitely.
to be annoying, or add some DTs to the army or something?
Yeah, if you get a dark shrine for this push, it's pretty strong to combo it with like just 3 DTs. Walking into like the main natural third base can be pretty strong as you attack the third or fourth. I mean,
and
you should probably add DTs every game in this matchup. They're really, really good.
I use them close to never, just in base trade scenarios. I like to use them defensively.
Mhm.
But I will definitely try.
The point where you should add them is when you see them getting a third base and you know you don't need to defend anymore. That would be a good time to add DTs if you want.
Okay.
Or like
at least to
after
get the
fourth or
possibility
something.
of adding them later.
But yeah,
And the second question, is there any reason ever to transition to air?
no. The Liberators, actually that's not true. Against mech you can go air, you can go carriers.
Okay.
But against bio, no, never. Because they nerf the Tempest too hard against Liberators. Like the supply that you need for Tempest is way too much. So it's just not viable.
I just use Tempest if they're really turtling with a lot of tanks, then I sometimes try to break it with Tempest and it works out well, but I think this is a platinum thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
just outsit them because they're on 3 bases and win the game later. I don't.
yeah, I mean, maybe you could do that. I personally would just wait for them to take a new base. Like if they're turtling here on this map, this is a pretty turtle friendly map, right?
Yeah.
If they were playing this map, I would just let them get a 5th, and then as soon as they tried to take the 5th, I would attack.
Yeah, attack the 5th. Huh?
Yeah, like usually they would take the base to the right of my army, right?
Yep.
As their 5th. So as soon as they take that, their army is going to be in this really open area, and so I'll attack right there. Try to catch their army in that open area, instead of trying to poke them in the 4 bases, because I mean you can't really break this setup. It's not open enough for your army. That's how I usually choose my strats as a GM. Is like, how easy is it to attack them on 4 bases? Not that easy? Okay, I'll play a really slow macro game. Pretty easy, pretty open? Okay, I'm gonna do a lot of attacking. That's basically how I do it. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, but in general, we don't want to attack for any reason before we're maxed out.
Yeah, I mean, with Colossus, because you're playing a Colossus build, it's not very good to attack early.
Sure.
So you want to wait quite a bit until you get your charge. And I mean, we didn't finish charge for quite a while, right? I think it finished maybe like 9:30. So it's a pretty slow upgrade to get. So you can't really attack before then too easily, unless you're partying. And so we waited quite a while. But if you were playing double forge instead of Colossus, then you can attack super early, like 7:30.
Okay, yeah.
So it's
But
mostly a
that's a
style
different
limitation.
kind of build, a different kind of playstyle. I can still.
Right, exactly, yeah. So it's the Colossus that are kind of limiting us.
Yeah, no, I think for the moment I will stay with this one. I
Yeah,
really,
yeah, I mean,
really
it's a pretty
like it.
solid.
Maybe I can reduce the number of quite early losses, but
You
yeah.
usually go
Second,
higher?
a question: what happens often lately is if they fully wall off, I don't get my probe in. Do you then go
Uh,
for sentry and the fast hallucination scout, or still rely on the first ops?
I think I covered that in my guide on PvT scouting. If you want to check that one, like PvT early game.
Yeah,
But
I'll
basically,
definitely.
basically what you do is you go in between reacting to a super all in and a macro build. So you make like a medium number of probes.
And referring to your guide against Zerg, where you said you want to keep the number of bases even,
Yeah.
would you say this against Darren? Would like to stay half a base ahead,
Um
or was this the 50 probes against
it's
44?
about there's definitely some hard stops I use to know when to not pro pass, but it's not so much about the bases. Yeah, it's only the one timing actually. Like I only stop at 52 against the 3-Rex timing, and there's no other builds that I would stop probing against.
Okay, but 3 Rex timings refers to 300
311.
into 311 as well as 311
Yeah,
or 111 into
311 is what I'm
311.
talking about.
Yeah, 311, no matter how the early game
Right.
plays out.
Yeah, so like that 7:30ish or 7-minute timing around there. So that one you would stop at 52 workers and make units.
Okay.
There's some other builds that I have hard stops against, like when they go 111 into 3-Rex, right?
Yeah.
Against that build, when you're playing against 111 before that and you haven't seen the 3-Rex yet, you shouldn't tech up. Like you shouldn't get your Robo Bay and you shouldn't get your Twilight.
No
If-
Robo against
Yeah.
111?
No. The Robo facility is fine. Just don't get the Robo Bay.
Okay, I need the three racks before I get the Robo Bay.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Or I mean, if you do get the Robo Bay, don't use it. Just make immortals and units. If you scout it a bit late.
Yeah.
It's mostly about making units though to defend the 111 attack. So you don't want to get too much tech and then you die.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I have
Okay,
that
so
stop.
so for the moment, you would tell me as a coach to better be safe than sorry. So not to be greedy, but
Yes. Yeah,
to
I mean,
defend a little bit more and get greedy later on.
I'm not even. This is pretty greedy. This like getting the double forge is not. It's too greedy. It's not even safe to do
Yeah, sure.
the way you did it. So this is as greedy as you can possibly get while still being safe.